Welcome everyone to this episode of The Grow Show. Now I am joined by someone who I've known only for maybe 3 or 4 months, but this guy is a living legend. He gives off so much positivity, so much enthusiasm to people, and he helps people literally change their lives. He is Dan Sadler. He is known as Biohacker Dan. And we are going to be talking about so much to help you and figure out actually what is biohacking and how it can help you and how you can improve your life. So Dan, you know what, on the hottest day of the year, welcome to The Grow Show. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great, Gary. Thank you so much for having me. It means a lot to be here. I'll tell you now, this is the hottest day of the year and I nearly have my string vest on, but I thought I'd better put my stuff on and deal with the heat. So yeah, I'm Dan Sadler. I'm a biohacker. And literally what I do is help people to take their body systems and improve them so that they can feel better and do more.
Love it, love it. And this is my first kind of podcast that we're talking about biohacking in the way that we're going to be talking about it. So for the people who don't know what biohacking is, before we go into your journey, how do you describe it to people?
Okay, so I'm going to use a couple of analogies. First of all, imagine if you have an apple in your hand and you chop the apple in half and then you were to place it on the side and just leave it there for, say, 10, 15 minutes. We all know that the apple's going to go brown. Well, that browning process is actually a process of oxidation in your body. And that increases the aging process. It speeds it up and it also increases your chances of chronic disease and illness and a really troubled later life. So what we're doing is we're trying to stop the apple from browning and to slow down that process from actually taking hold. And another way to look at it, because it's not just about us getting older, it's also about our energy systems in our body and manipulating them so that they work better. Now, biohacking doesn't, while it sounds like a computer hacker might come to mind when you hear the word hacking, but I'm going to break it down. Bio means life. And hacking is optimization. So what we're doing is we're optimizing people's lives in simple ways. So it's taking control of your own biology. Cool, huh?
It sounds so simple, but I'm sure when we talk about some of the kind of things that you kind of talk about with clients and just at networking meetings and wherever you are, these are all simple stuff, but we just don't tend to do it, or we don't think they're important to us at the right time. So talking about that, kind of where did it all start for you? I don't mean kind of year dot, but how did you kind of get into what you're doing now? Okay,
so let me go back a bit maybe and explain my history before biohacking and then when I got to biohacking and what's happened since.
Oh, definitely do it before and after. Let's do that.
Yeah, so let's go right back to the 9-year-old child, healthy as anything. I was the captain of the football team. I was the fastest runner in the school. Like I was quite extroverted and quite popular amongst the other kids. And I went through a growth spurt. I was always worried about growing because my dad's really small and my sisters are really short. My mum's quite short. And I was always worried I was going to be that bald old man like my dad, the short, bald old man. So I always wanted to be taller. Now, my little sister, who was a year younger than me, she shot past me and I was begging the universe for this kind of like growth spurt. I really wanted it more than anything. And then it happened. So around about 10 years old, I grew really fast and I grew like rapidly that actually my bones outgrew my muscles and stretched all the muscles in my legs. So my calves, my thighs, my Achilles heel and the heel itself, it was massively inflamed and I couldn't walk. So that stopped the football. It stopped the running. It stopped the socializing. I could barely even walk at the time. I was on ultrasound twice a week, having to go to hospital appointments and having to do stretches where I would like raise myself up and down off the edge of a step. And that was me from age 10, 11, 12. So I rapidly started to put on weight and this energetic child had become really sedentary. And rather than being interested in running around, riding bikes, climbing trees, I became very into my old computer games. So like Game Boys and Game Gears and Mega Drives and SNES and those types of things, into PlayStations. So I spent a lot of time sat on the sofa or on the bed playing computer games and not really exercising my body. Now, I carried this kind of like this weight that I was building up all the way through my teenage years. And I became like the fat kid in the year and the one that people would be taking the mickey out of and behind my back. And So my friendship circle diminished, my confidence diminished, and I got to 16. I was actually really good in school. I was going in two directions. I wanted to be in the Air Force. I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I was inspired by Tom Cruise and Top Gun, and I could see myself flying those jets. So I went through the course of like an RAF scholarship. I got flying experience in the cadets. I got all the way up to being accepted as a young officer into the officer program. And then I found out that I couldn't fly the planes because this eye has astigmatism and this eye is like minus half a point. So short-sighted by a tiny amount meant I couldn't fly the planes. And they told me, oh, you could be in the band because you're musical, or you could be in the air traffic control. And for me, it was like, no, that's just ruined my life. Fortunately, I was in a band. At school, I'd started to learn an instrument called the steel pan. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a round metal drum, comes from Trinidad and Tobago. My music teacher went off on a round the world trip, and he came back and he said, like, we've got to get some steel pans in the school. Now, I didn't even know anything about it. My music teacher just knew I was musical. And she sent me down to a room with a load of girls from my year group just to make some music. And for me, it was perfect because I tried to learn the flute and the drums, and the teachers were quite militant about reading music. And I'm like, if you know about colours and people in colours and the colour charts, I'm very blue, a little bit yellow. I can't do systems, and I can't do spreadsheets, and I can't do reading and writing stuff. It just doesn't resonate with my brain. So I wanted to learn by doing. I wanted to learn by being. It's like a party thing for me. I wanted to be around my mates doing it. So the steel band was perfect. Now, I ditched all my aspirations to be a fighter pilot. Then I started traveling the world, touring, playing at places like the Royal Albert Hall, performed on TV with Billy Ocean. Literally, I've been all around, done the circuit. I spent 6 months living in the Caribbean on a cruise ship. Blessed time in my life. But my health was not good. And all the way through that whole time, through my 20s now, I developed gastritis and stomach ulcers, acid inflammation from my stomach, and it was really starting to cripple me. So by the time I got near, I was 28, 29, I was starting to get stomach episodes while I was on stage or in between sets, and I would be using the green room to get into the shower. The only thing that could stop the cramping was me laying in the hottest bath possible with the hottest shower possible on my stomach to burn the skin so that I couldn't feel the pain from the cramping.
Do you know
and
what?
That would last 12
that's
hours at a time.
Second time I've heard that, and both times I've winced. Because it's not pleasant in any shape or form. But then to take that kind of, take that solution or take that thing to stop what's happening, which is equally or as bad as what it was, that takes, I was going to say some guts, but, you know, that shows your mental state at that time.
Absolutely. I mean, I still wasn't fixed at this point, and I was still going through my life and still just traveling and still doing things. And the worst episode I had was actually on a flight back from India. We'd just been on tour. We'd recorded an album at the original HMV studios. It was amazing. We played in some of the most derelict parts of Calcutta, and we got whizzed around the place. I had an episode on the air flight on the way back, but they managed to get me into a quiet corner where I could lay down on a cold floor, and that actually eased me getting back. And another really memorable time was when I was coming back from a tour in Nigeria. Now, this is just as I'd moved to London in 2015, 14, 15. I just moved to London and I got a gig. Right, can you come to Nigeria for 4 days, play a carnival, and then come home? It was great. Apart from the fact that we weren't fed properly, we were promised a 5-star hotel and we ended up in a Ferrari, like, brothel type hotel. It was terrible. And then the food was bad, and I had a reaction to the food. And on my way to the airport, I had another episode, and that kept me tied, like, kept my stomach going mad for the whole journey home. And talking about coming back from Nigeria, that's a 4-hour flight. And when you get back to London, you've got that hour journey into the city and then that hour journey to your house. I used to literally be like crippled over, holding my stomach, trying not to be sick. Now, that was kind of the point when I said enough is enough. Now, previously, doctors, I respect doctors. I appreciate doctors because of the education that they go through. But doctors actually don't do a single pip of nutrition in their training. So they're very much on in terms of which chemicals can switch on or off things in the body so that you get a desired effect. So it's problem, reaction, solution. Now, the doctor said to me that there's no way to treat this naturally. There's no way to get over your stomach naturally. And I didn't want the medication because omeprazole, the meds that I was on, were very heavy. They were causing me liver damage, and I was still overweight. Then I went online, and the internet was like bubbling up at this point, and I found a study that was done on prisoners, because prisoners have high acid reflux. They have a lot of vomiting and a lot of gastritis, stomach ulcers. So they tested a prison population of 100 prisoners. 98 of these prisoners went through the study and did it properly, and they got 100% results from those 98 people. What they did was that this clever guy had found a really old study that he just dug up out of nowhere. He found this study, and it said that cabbage, the humble cabbage, contains a vitamin called vitamin U. Vitamin U goes to work at repairing the stomach lining, and I was sold straight away. I didn't care. I didn't have a juicer. I didn't know what to do, but I just went and bought a juicer. I bought some cabbages, and it's disgusting to think about it because it tastes so wrong, but 7 days of juicing 4 pints a day and drinking it really fast fixed me. And that was the start of my biohacking journey. That was when I realized that my biology, actually, I'm in control.
And there's so many little bits that we can kind of pick apart on what you just said. So many parts. But I'm really intrigued of, when you first saw this kind of study, and you must have looked at it and gone, do you know what, no, I can't be right. Carried on reading and saying, do you know what, actually, there might be something in there. And by the end of it, you were sold. Did you tell anybody about that at the time? And what was their reaction? And did it take some time to you to kind of get you to that stage?
To be honest, I was so desperate for the solution, because even like everyone that saw me in an episode, no lie, thought I was dying. If I'd have carried on, I probably would have perforated my stomach and had leaky stomach, and that can cause you to die as well. And that's the last thing that I wanted, was for this to be the end. Now, when I found the study, I must have read it through 6 or 7 times. There was an article that I found first, which guided me to the study. So I actually had to go and find the study. When I found the study, Proactive, and the first thing that it said was you need to juice cabbage, because when you juice it, you've got like 40 seconds before that vitamin will die. So I bought the juicer, I bought the cabbages, I read through it over and over and over again. And I did have somebody here with me, John, fortunately, who is also really into natural health. And I had somebody to support me through that process and to help me with the low inflammation diet that we induced for that week. But after a week, what happened was we went out for a meal, and we were out in London walking down the South Bank, and I said, oh, look, there's a Wagamama's there. I've never been into Wagamama's, and I really want to try it. So we went into Wagamama's. I ordered, I can't remember what dish it was. John ordered the same dish, but he had it with extra chilies, and I had it with no chilies. So the idea is put his chilies in my dish and load him up and take mine out. Now, halfway through the dinner, I'm getting a bit of a sweat on my brow. And John's like, this isn't spicy. He's like, you sure you got the right dinner? And I'm like, well, if I was eating your dinner, I wouldn't be sat here right now. So we carried on eating. And he's like, no, I can't see any chilies in my dish. And I folded a bit over with my fork, and there they were. Tons and tons of chilies. And I'd been eating this dish. I was thinking in my mind, I switched into like, uh-oh, it's going to happen. But in reality, I took a big deep breath and thought it would have happened already. And that was the celebration moment when we realized that it was over, and that I was able to get out of that. And the knock-on effect from that meant that I've now lost 4 stone in weight. And the things that I'm implementing now are enabling me to manage my biology even better. And it can only get better from here.
Wow. Did anybody kind of tell you or talk to you about your health or about the weight before that point?
Well, yeah. I mean, the Caribbean world, with the steel band that I'm in, I know a lot of people from Trinidad, Barbados, Antigua, Grenada, you name it, Jamaica. I've got friends from all of those communities in the UK and friends in the islands as well. Now, like one particular guy, El Rodney, he's one of the top steel pan players in the world. They called him the grandfather of pan. He was around when it was invented. And he used to work directly with our band. And he used to say, hey, fat boy, that was his welcome to me. So people would call me fat boy, or they would make jokes. But I was in a position in my mind where it just bounced off me like a unicorn shield. And So people did comment on my weight, and some people that saw me in the episode, they did come to me afterwards to say they were concerned that I was going into a really bad place with it. But
yeah,
ultimately, you need to make these decisions yourself, and yourself first, because if no amount of anyone telling you what to do is going to make you make your mind up. You need to see it, believe it, feel it from the inside, and action it. And if you don't take the action, you won't get the benefits. And that's true with everything.
I love it. And that's what I kind of wanted to delve into, because there's, you know, it took a turning point for you to see the study, but that's just one point on this journey. And there was probably been about 10 or 15 other points, or more than that, where if you had that information, you wouldn't have been in the right place to be able to absorb it. You wouldn't have been in the right mental state to be able to action it. So thank you so much for that kind of summary that you did, because that's ace. So you've been to Wagamama's, you've had those studies, you've actually realised, crap, actually this works. You know, I'm good. What's next?
Well, what's next? Okay, first thing that's next is I need to shut the window because my neighbours have just started having a party in the garden. One sec.
Go for it. Go for it. This is the beauty.
This is real
video.
Life, folks.
There you go.
Okay, so what came next, right? I'd moved from Portsmouth to London, and I was living on my mate's sofa. I was starting life again as a steel band teacher. So the next part of the story was that I just moved to London. I was sleeping like literally at the bottom of a double bed in a tiny little slither of floor with a pillow and a duvet, and that was it. I was sleeping on a hard floor. It wasn't even like I had a sofa to surf on. So I'd moved up here. My mate kindly put me up, helped me find some teaching work with the steel band, because up in North London, there's a lot of steel bands in schools. So he was like, come up here, I'll help you find some work, you can start your new life here. So I was in the process of doing that, and then I got a phone call that nobody wants, which is the phone call from your parents to say that one of them is either sick or has died. And my dad phoned me up. Fortunately, he hadn't died, but he had had a stroke. And he was over in Florida. I was in London. It was like something had gone wrong for me. There'd always been something here that I've been working on, say your plan B. Whether that be when I was a young man in the going into the RAF, couldn't get in and found the steel band and the touring lifestyle, the music lifestyle. I didn't have that extra option. I didn't have the finances to go and see him. I didn't have the ability to do anything. I was stuck in London feeling sorry for myself. And that was a big wake-up call for me. That was when I started to think about my own health and thinking, well, blimey, if he's only 60 and that's happening to him, then, well, I've only got potentially 25 years left, because every male in my family has died before 70, under 70 years old. Every single male that I've ever heard of within my family has died under 70 years old. I definitely don't want to be that. So that was a massive wake-up call for me. Couldn't get there, couldn't get out to see him, didn't have the income. I wasn't even in great health myself. I was still overweight at this point. So during the course of my dad's stroke recovery, his friend, fortunately, came round to his house and gave him some pills and said, like, you need to take this. It's going to really help you with your inflammation. And through further research, stroke is directly linked to the oxidative process. So he'd had the stroke, and over the course of the first week, he'd started to recover like really fast. Within 2 days, his speech was fully recovered. He didn't lose any of the right side of his face. You know, often the face droops on the one side. Within a week, he was walking about, fully able, having full-on conversations with me. It was like on the phone to him, like he'd never had a stroke. I wouldn't have known any different. And then he came and prospected me. Now, I'd never been prospected to join a business. I'd never been prospected to get involved in network marketing or crypto or anything. No one had ever asked me. So it came as a bit of a shock. Let's
rewind a bit. You know, you say we're prospecting like it's like everyone knows what it is.
Yeah.
What is prospecting?
Okay, so prospecting is when, for example, I have a business and I'm looking to promote my business. If I'm talking to, particularly if it's a direct selling business, so from me to you, Gary, and you want a better health, I go, oh, I've got these products that can help. You say, great, send me some info. That is me prospecting you. So in me thinking, like, my dad's dying, my dad's like going through this phase, all of a sudden he started trying to sell me a business. but my
Oh,
ears were pricked up a little bit because it was
yeah.
the things that saved his life. So that was where it came round. I mean, I said to John, John, I'm not interested in this. I don't know. He's trying to sell me stuff. I don't really know what it's about. He said, look at my website. I looked at it and I thought, oh, it just looks like a sales page to me. Wasn't interested. But then John said something. He said, I have been looking for a solution to oxidative stress for years. We need to check this out again. So I went back to my dad and said, okay, right. I was an absolute no. But John's just said that I should look at this again. I said, can you answer some questions for me? He said, son, I have no idea. I don't know. Go and talk to Jean. And he sent me to his friend, the lady that got him involved. She took me through the information process. She found that there was a meeting going on up in Watford, and I'm in North London anyway. So it was just up the road. It was that same week. So I drove up there and we watched. And when we were in the reception to the hotel, we were looking around the place and we didn't know anyone, bear in mind. This was a brand new opportunity. LifeVantage had only just come to the UK and no one knew about it. So we were in this room, in this hotel reception, and I was like, John, look at him over there and her over there. And they were just glowing. They had this golden, like, sunshine face. And I could see about 6 people in the hotel lobby that all looked like that. When we went into the room, one at a time, they all came up to tell their story. And I was like, told you, that's it. Look, we knew, we could tell. And for me, they didn't even need to speak. I could see it in their faces. I knew straight away. Before I'd even taken one of the little yellow pills, I knew straight away that needed to get in my body. So I signed up for the business before I'd even tried the product because it's powerful.
And
that's how I found biohacking, really.
And how many years ago was that?
That was 4 years ago, almost to the day.
Wow. So you're sitting there, you're seeing all these people. And again, it's light bulb moments happening in loads of different places. And it's that drip feed of information leading to that point of you signing up. Now, I've been around different multi-level marketing kind of businesses, and I know a few of them say to people, like your dad did to you, who do you know in your family and friends who can benefit from that? Let's target that. And some people gives people a target to contact X amount of people in a week or whatever it is to be able to do that. You're smiling, so I'm guessing you've heard this before.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. To be honest, it's like a baptism of fire in network marketing. You have to practice on someone.
But, you say your biohacking journey started then. And you bought the business even before you tried the product, which is fantastic. What was it about? Actually, I didn't need to ask that question. I was going to say to you, what was it about that particular company? But
there's more to it. There is more to it.
Break it down.
On reflection, like if I'd have had another company come to me or another person prospect me about another one of the companies in our space, there's certain things that I needed to see for me to get involved. One of those is proof. And that's really missing across our industry. You have people saying, I can save you tons of money with this product, but they can't save everyone money. There's no proof that it works for everyone. People say, we've got this amazing ingredient in it, which has got loads of studies. Well, they're studying that ingredient. They're not studying your product. I needed to see a couple of things. I needed to see science. I needed to see proof and retention. I needed to know that I'm in a company where I can retain customers. And that was important to me.
That's really good to know, because I've been talking to network marketing people for years now, and people in the industry, and these range from people who have kind of set up the actual multi-level marketing business to people who have joined it because someone else has recommended it. And there's a gulf of misinformation out there about the industry. There's a gulf, but there's also massive amounts of really good stuff that are happening to benefit the people and benefit, their business and their community. And the one thing that I tell anybody is, if they're thinking about going into multi-level marketing, and I'm not affiliated to any brands, by the way, it's coming from a completely independent person, but you need to be passionate about the business you're starting. And for you can see clearly, I can see clearly why you got into that particular company, that particular business. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you? You've got the facts, you've got the science, you've got the journey, you've got the testimonials, you've got the proof that it works. And for you, that was the perfect opportunity, perfect product in the right place for you. That was great.
Yep.
It was. So that was 4 years ago, buddy. You know, and a lot's changed in that, you know, up to that point. But is that where you really started to live? Is that where you really came alive after that point?
Absolutely. I mean, I took... right, so John is in a slightly different state of health. He takes medication every day. I didn't. I'd already fixed my stomach, so things were getting better. I felt quite good. I was always quite good at sleeping. I always had quite good energy. I don't need naps and that kind of thing. Now, when I took the first one, I could feel like what I could only describe as butterflies in my stomach, chest area. And I put that down to, felt like my metabolism was kicking off and firing up. That's the only way I could describe it. And maybe that was right, maybe it was wrong. It was just an observation.
You felt it in here. You felt it going.
Yeah, I could feel this tickling in my chest. And then John was like, well, I'm not feeling anything yet. I said, well, don't be disappointed. This can take a different amount of time in everyone. This is what Jean told us. So it could take longer for you because you're on medication. So me, straight away, I felt something. Energy improved, my sleeping improved. And I could actually feel the difference, even though I didn't have problems there. Now, after about 2 to 3 weeks, that was when John said, I'm starting to feel something. And it depends. Like, every single person is different. And if you think about, I started this at 35 years old. So I've had, 36 years old even, I've had 36 years of building up all of that inflammation and all of that crap and all those toxins and metals and other things that come into us via food and oxygen. My body had taken 35 years to get into that state. So it's not an overnight fix, because you can't reverse that much damage in a week or a day. Like, some people do get quick wins with this stuff, but a lot of the time it comes down to consistency and time. If you're not patient, you may not get the benefits. And that's with everything.
Yeah, exactly. The amount of times I talk to people about marketing or videos or live streaming, and they expect to do the perfect video first time on their first take, on their first video. And
never
it never happens. Never happens. You just don't see the hard work that people put into it. And same as what you're saying, you know, you got 35 years worth of stuff going into your body. It's not going to take, you know, an overnight to get it out, which is, you know, makes complete sense. So you're starting to feel the benefits now. You are. I don't want to go into the individual products about Life Advantage, but only because, you know, I'd ask you to throw a link out in a bit for that. But you say that kick-started your kind of journey, really, at that point. So let's talk now about some of the stuff that you kind of do on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis that other people can do. And I know you've wrote a great article that you can check out in different kind of publications. But let's throw some out here now. So, you know,
of course. All right. So I've got some top biohacking tips.
Let's do it.
So do you want some top biohacks from me? Okay. Right. So there are so many things that you can do to enhance your own well-being. And I'm going to start with stuff that's, most of this stuff is largely free. And some of the stuff may surprise you. The biohacking doesn't need to be technical, complicated, or expensive. Okay. So the first one is hugging. Giving someone a cuddle is amazing. It releases all those happy hormones. But did you know that a 20-second hug is the ideal length for releasing enough of that good stuff?
Can I just caveat that just slightly?
Yes,
let's just make sure that as we're still in kind of really early lockdown kind of release stages at the moment, as we're recording it, just be careful. By the way, Dan, sorry, just put to kind of caveat at that point.
No worries. So, and like you mentioned about lockdown then as well. So some people are stuck on their own and they can't hug. But did you know that by hugging yourself, you can give yourself a similar release of the happy hormones? So if you haven't got someone to hug right now, just hug yourself. No shame. So cleaning your water.
Okay.
This is a controversial one because ideally we all need to live near a mountain spring if we're going to benefit from the cleanest possible water. Bottled water is better than tap water. But if you're going to clean your water with a distiller or a reverse osmosis machine, that's the best, but be cautious that you will need to remineralize the water after cleaning it. Otherwise, you're stripping it out. And when you drink that water, it's going to strip minerals out of your body. because it's going to be clinging onto stuff as it goes through your body. So just be cautious with some of the stuff. Getting out in the sun, like it's the hottest day of the year. There's so much free vitamin D out there. If you're buying vitamin D tablets right now, maybe you shouldn't be. But just get outside for 20 minutes every day and let your skin radiate and take in some of that sun, because that's going to really help you mentally, emotionally, physically, and all sorts.
Nice.
So number 4 is grounding. I don't know if any of you know about grounding, but it's a lovely thing to do, just to take your shoes and socks off and put your feet on the earth. It's even best if it's like sand or grass or mud or gravel or something, because your feet need to touch the ground. It's an ancient practice of going barefoot and connecting with the earth. And there is science to back it up. So we're all electrical beings and the earth's current flows through us, but even better when we're barefoot. So free electrons is actually nature's most powerful antioxidant.
Love it. Love it. And I wonder how many people don't actually take their shoes off when they're on grass or on sand. And
loads. I know some people that are scared of their own feet, so they don't ever take their socks off.
Yeah, that's it. It's one of the first things I do if I'm on grass. It's lovely. Absolutely lovely.
So another thing we can do is what I'm doing right now, which is smiling. It's standard. If someone smiles at you, what do? You smile back.
You smile back.
Yeah, and it's a subconscious thing, but smiling also releases all of those amazing happy hormones. Another free one is to move your body. Exercise is so important, whether it's a little bit or a lot. In fact, worth bearing in mind that if you go and train at the gym really hard 5 days a week and you're a muscle builder and it's constant, by the time you get to 40, you're going to wear out a lot of those systems in your body, because bear in mind that athletes breathe more and they eat more. And food and oxygen contains oxidants, which is going to age you faster. This is why professional athletes don't really compete after 35 to 40 years old, because they can't. They've slowed down all those systems faster than the average person. So that just leads me on to saying that walking is so overlooked, right? Walking 10,000 steps every single day will have the most profound impact on your overall health and well-being on a longevity basis.
Love it. And have you got a kind of an ideal time to go out walking, enjoy the sun? Or some of the kind of tips, is it better to do it in the morning? Is it better to do it in the evening? What's your views on that? Or does it make no difference whatsoever?
For the sun perspective, you're actually going to get more from the sun if you're out at sunrise and sunset. Okay. Actually, when it's at sunset time and the sun's low enough, or sunrise time where it's low enough, you can look directly into the sun, and that's the only time that you can without damaging your eyes, and that is really good for you. So early in the morning is best for taking in the sun, but in terms of walking, just get out there and do it anytime. There's no time like the present.
That's it. So what's your next tip, Dan?
Next tip, right, is a lot of people, there's a myth about this, about being too expensive. Switching out your veggies for organic veggies. Expense shouldn't come into it when you're talking about your own health. I mean, it makes absolute sense not to eat food that's been sprayed with that chemical glyphosate. Highly toxic. In fact, glyphosate kills all life. If you look at what it does when you spray it on the plants, they spray it on the plants or they put it into the genetics of the plant, which is even scarier, in order to stop the bugs from eating them so that we can eat them. But if the bugs won't eat them because they're no good for them, why are we eating them?
That's a good question. Good question.
That just leaves me on. I've got a couple more points one more point on the food is that if you eat meat, a lot of us do, like battery farmed animals, so caged chickens and mass produced cattle. Mm-hmm. They're all they lead high stress lives. They don't lead natural lives, so they don't develop properly. They live through stress. Like the cows have their young taken away from them and they are stressed. Now, if you were to go and find some grass-fed beef, it's full of nutrients. The animals are not stressed because they live on grass. They roam from field to field to field, eating fresh grass and fresh herbs. So a happy cow leads to a happy steak, which leads to a happy body. So I would say go for grass-fed and pasture-raised animals. Now, they must be 100% because a lot of companies use words like free range, or grass-fed is even a funny one because if it's not 100% grass-fed, then it means the animal may be finished on grains. So they'll feed it grass all its life until it's near the end, and then they'll start feeding it grains and then they'll kill it. Plumps it up a little bit and makes the meat look more appealing. But what you really want is to find a local farmer that's looking after their cattle and their chickens.
Wow.
Ideally.
So,
and the last one for me, I'm going to tell you now, is that you can sort stuff out on your phones. These devices, they're amazing. They connect us with the world and they connect us with each other like never before. We have the whole world's information in our hands. But the blue light from your phone is affecting your sleep. It's affecting your circadian rhythm. It's affecting your daily energy without you even knowing it. So have you ever wondered why Bono used to wear orange specs?
No, not really. But
I used to think, why has he got orange specs and everyone else has got sunglasses and clear glasses, but he's at orange? I used to think about that when I was younger, but I didn't know. They're blue blocker glasses. And you can have different ones for daylight and different ones for nighttime. But what you can do with your devices is you can put your night filter on. You can switch off your Wi-Fi at night. That's the most important one. If you put your phone on airplane mode, the alarms still work. It's still on, but it's not searching for signals right next to your head and right next to your pillow.
Do you know what, Dan? We're going to have to do another episode all about these tips. We are, because there's just so many and we are sadly running out of time. So let's make a date after the show to just do a show purely on these tips, because this is golden. And I don't want this to be an afterthought. I want it to be fully planned out. And hey, this is a start of something really cool. So Dan, thank you so much for being on the show. We're not going to end it just there, though. I've got 2 more bits for you. So you're not off the hook just yet. But before we go into your final thoughts, how can people get some of this information about LifeVantage and kind of these tips that you're going? Are you on socials? Have you got a website? It's your chance to throw out any links that you want. Okay,
all right. So I am a social guy. I've built my entire business on my phone. I can do it from anywhere. It really suits me. Now, if you were to find me on Facebook, /Dan Sadler UK, you'll find me there. I'm not so active on Instagram, but at Biohacker Dan, you can find me there. It's the same handle for TikTok, which I'm just experimenting with. Because TikTok there's so many more users than content creators right now. So great opportunity to try and stand out. So I'm at Biohacker Dan on TikTok as well. Now, if you wanted to learn more about LifeVantage, the best way for you to reach out to me is via Facebook Messenger. So we'll become friends. We can have a chat in Messenger. I can share you as much or as little information as you need to see it, just to enable you to make a decision whether you want to improve your health or not. Brilliant. And during this podcast, you've given loads of tips about how to kind of improve your health, how to improve your devices, and how to kind of just naturally make better choices. So I want to thank you for that, because that's been brilliant. My pleasure. I asked everybody right at the end of the show what their final thought would be. And this is their one takeaway, that if nobody listens to any of the show, bar this one point, they'll get a flavour for you and what you want to do and how you want to change the world. So, Dan, what's your final thought? Well, this is a really great question. I'm thinking, Okay, so, right, I've got it. If you don't take care of your health right now, at some point in your life, your body is going to force you to make the changes. And those changes could come in the form of a lifelong medication. They could come in the form of a lifelong condition. So I would say that even if you're in perfect health now, or you feel like you are, take the steps now to protect that, because prevention is way better than having to look at a cure or a treatment later down the line. That's my takeout. Dan, you have been an absolute gent. Thank you so much for your time once more. And let's catch up again very soon. Gary, thank you for having me. Thank you. I appreciate you, my friend.